Hi everyone, and welcome back to Beyond Borders Teaching. If you are joining us for the first time today, my name is Selena. Thank you for viewing my channel. Today, I wanted to give a warm welcome to all those new first year international teachers. This video was made especially for you. Welcome to Teaching in the United States. In this episode, I wanted to tell you all about what to possibly expect, as well as some tips and tricks, some things that you may want to put in your survival kit in order to thrive here in the US. Stay tuned for more, and I will also be sharing my own reflection as to my first year teaching in the US. I want to share my first year experience, some things I wish someone told me. Guess what? It gets easier. So I know it may be overwhelming, your first year here, the many beginning teachers workshops you may have to go to, the professional development, the courses you may have to take online for your school district, the many things that is required by your administrator for school. I know it may seem overwhelming, and I agree, it really was my first year. However, it gets easier with time. Now, one of the courses I had to do my first year was called Vector. That course had 25 modules in it. And within my second year, I only had like 4 or 5 modules. So that's an example of one of the things getting easier with time. My first year, we didn't have pre-prepared lesson plans by the county. So we had to prepare lesson plans. So that, of course, led me to staying back after school with my co-teacher, planning lessons. However, it got easier again. In my second year, lesson plans were already prepared. So based on the state or county you are at, lesson plans are already prepared. Some schools may require you to do a PowerPoint presentation to go with that lesson plan. Some schools may not. Always check with your administrators to figure out what your school requires of you. So those are some of the things that may seem overwhelming, may be overwhelming, but don't feel discouraged. Always find a good support team. Always remember to communicate, whether it be to persons in administration, whether it be to your instructional coach, a colleague. Communicate and get the help you need. And I'm sure persons will be willing to help you, because we all know how challenging it may be. Because not only are you an international teacher, now learning the system of teaching in the US, and it is quite different from what you may be accustomed to at home, you are also trying to settle into a new country to get the basic things that persons may not think about, like, for example, to get a bed, to get a car, where am I going to live, all those things. So I know it's more than just a school, but also to set into a new environment. However, I will encourage you, it gets easier with time. As I said, my first year I had to plan lessons, and every year after that, I haven't had to plan lessons. The lesson plans were planned. I just had to make sure I knew I studied them, make sure I got everything printed, make sure I uploaded the lesson plans to the platform in which our school used at that time, which was Planbook, to make sure I am ready for the week ahead. So I'm going to share some more. This first segment, I wanted to discuss understanding classroom culture. You may come to find that your students are very diverse. That is with regards to their race, their linguistics, their socio-economic skills, their cultural background. I invite you to embrace those differences, to love those differences, as I'm sure they are going to love yours as well. My kids always love my accent. And it's funny that I don't hear my accent, but my kids all love my accent. And of course, be respectful of some of them may ask you to repeat, or they may not understand you quite at first, but maybe slow it down, repeat if you need to, but take no offense. Just know that they are also trying to understand you, as I'm sure you may be trying to understand them. Another thing you will come to find that students' voice are encouraged. Kids are encouraged here to express themselves. So please make sure to give them a listening ear. Hear them out. You may learn a thing or two. And lastly, I also wanted to address classroom dynamics. Classroom dynamics may be quite different to what you are accustomed to at home. It may be in a bit of a more informal setting. I mean by that, kids are not in structured one seat units and separated, Or for example, I would have taught back home, kids seated two in a bench, and the bench weren't able to move around and put into different groups in the classroom. You will find that it is more so done here in the US. The tables and chairs move around at times. Kids are put in collaborative pairs. They are put in groups to do different things. In regards to the classroom dynamics, something that was also strange for me, usually back home, when an adult enters the classroom, all the kids are to stop what they are doing, stand, address the adult, and say good morning or good afternoon. Here, that's not the case. If administrators come into the room, the kids are usually encouraged to stay seated, keep working, and that may be something, a culture shock to you, but it's something I've learned here that that's how it's done in the classrooms. So that's some of the dynamics you can look out for this year in your school. The second thing I wanted to address is the curriculum and teaching styles you may observe here in the US. You will quickly observe that the teaching style is very state standard driven. I advise that you learn the standards quickly. Make sure you understand what each standard is, what it refers to, so that you can curtail your lessons to suit the standards that the students may need support in, or that you understand how well to teach those standards and ask the essential questions that can show if the student understands the standards. Of course, a lot of the learning as well, as I would have expressed before, is very hands-on and student-centered. So I mean projects, group work, collaborative pairs, etc. is done throughout the learning, or exit tickets, quizzes. Those are some of the assessments, or the various assessments they have on M-Class, Canvas. They have various things that they will have to accomplish throughout the school year. The assessments can be a lot sometimes depending on the grade you teach, but they make your life easier in the sense of they are all done online. So the percentage is there, the data is there, and the same standards I spoke about. You can look at the student's name and see the standard, and it will be color coded so you can know what type of interventions or support that student may need to get better with those particular standards. Thirdly, you will come to find here in the US that classroom management differs. There are behavioral systems in place, such as the PBIS I would have mentioned before, positive behavior intervention and support, that is focused on giving the students rewards versus punitive measures for correcting behaviors. So I'm speaking about things like a treasure chest. At my school, we have a treasure chest where kids are given rewards for good behaviors, as well as there may be something like a behavior chart where you can track the students' behaviors or have them track their behaviors towards earning a reward. We also have the discipline approach. Now, for discipline approach, the focus is on redirecting the students and restorative practices. What do I mean by that? Now, you never want to make the kids feel embarrassed. You never want to make them feel selected or pointed out for incorrect behaviors. You may want to redirect their behaviors, give them that a little attention that they may be seeking, but redirect it into a positive way so that the kid doesn't feel embarrassed and doesn't want to act up further. Now, for those discipline support, it depends on, of course, what the situation is. For every negative behavior you see, it may not be something that you necessarily need to call administration for. Of course, use your discretion. There are certain things you can redirect your children as you get to know them in order to restore the behavior. Now, my golden rule is always to communicate. If something is happening with one of your kids, you owe it to yourself and to them. It also helps with building that relationship, to pull them aside, talk with them, see what's happening. Sometimes just letting them go for a walk to get water and come back is all they need to be redirected to focus on what they have to do at hand. Also, students have rights. Make sure you know what those rights are according to the county standards and what provisions your schools have in place to support and regulate student behavior. In this fourth segment, I wanted to share how important I have found it is to build relationships. Building relationships with your students, the parents of your students, and your colleagues. Building relationships is as easy as talking with the kids, genuinely asking them questions, and getting to know them. I would often find sitting with them at lunch is been one of the ways I connect with my students, or even at recess time. My kids would want to sit with me and tell me all the stories. I would engage with them, listen, ask questions, and share stories with them as well. So we got to know each other. Kids learn best from people they love, from people they trust. So building that relationship with your students will help you to have a very successful school year because they will work with you. Children aim to please those that they care for. So build that relationship with them, and trust me, they will be eager to learn from you. Build relationships with the parents. At open house is a wonderful time to meet your parents, engage with them, talk with them, get a feel for them so that they can feel trusting to have you teach their kid, as well as connecting with them on Class Dojo, for example. Well, I'm not sure what system your school may use. Mine uses Class Dojo. And on Class Dojo is a wonderful platform for you to have that rapport with the parents as to how the student is doing. Now, that doesn't only mean sending home negative reports. No parent likes that. You can also use that as a platform to give positive reports. Don't only send the parents message when something bad happens. Send messages about good things too. Try to send more good stuff than bad stuff. Building relationships with colleagues can also help you throughout your school year. So find relationships among colleagues that you may gain knowledge from, that you can even probably ask for resources if you need resources. I'm sure they'll be willing to share. And observe, observe. If you don't know something, always ask. I'm sure someone will be willing to help. Adjusting to the work life and schedules is what I want to share in this fifth segment. I know it may seem overwhelming at first, but if you put a system in place and have a positive mindset, you can do it. It's not impossible. Of course, you will now get adjusted to the many types of documentations that are in place for students, such as an IEP. You will become familiar with those terms like IEP, 504, plan, BIP, etc., that you may need to stay on top of for various students. Of course, like I explained before, having those lesson plans, small group plans, those different documentations in place for your class, as well as the meetings. Now, meetings depends on your school, but usually meetings are held once a week, staff meetings, as well as there are various professional development days throughout the year. And of course, with all these meetings, all these documentation, please find some time for that work-life balance. As much as, yes, you have a duty to the students, you also have to take care of you. So figure out that work-life balance in terms of managing your time to deal with the documentation, to deal with the meetings, to deal with the professional development course, as well as to find that joy for you, find that time for your segment. I wanted to share how important it is to have emotional resilience and self-care. Now, in that first teaching year, I know it may be challenging. The many things and nuances you are now afforded here in the US, as well as missing home, having homesickness. So please spend some time with yourself, creating that work-life balance as I talked about before, managing your time so that you can fulfill the duties of your job, as well as take care of yourself. Whether it be tapping into your favorite hobby, whether it be figuring out what is something you can do in your communities. Now, in my community, there's usually something to do every fourth Friday, or I personally love nature, so I usually look for where's the closest park, where's the new park that I haven't been to as yet. And I recently bought a bike, so I go to the parks to ride my bicycle. So figure out something that you like to do that makes you happy, and find a way to make time for it. Make time so you can tap into you, pour back into you, and have that self-care. Of course, homesickness is a thing. Don't don't negate calling your friends and family at home and staying in touch with them. But at the same time, be open, welcoming to creating friends and family here. Now, here in the US, I must say I'm blessed to have created a family with so many new brothers, I consider them sisters, that I met here becoming an international teacher. And I do wish the same for you. It can happen. Have an open heart and an open mind, and it can happen for you. Pour back into you, have that self-care routine, make those connections, and also don't lose those connections with friends and family at home. Thank God for technology now so we can stay connected. I would like to encourage you all going forward that your global perspective enriches the lives of your students. Your accent, your background, your culture, whatever you bring to the table, it is not something to hide. It is something to be celebrated. It is something that will be appreciated, admired, and welcomed. So do go out there, be your best, be that teacher ambassador that your country will be proud of. Remember, you are not just teaching content, you are modeling resilience, culture, openness, and courage towards the students you teach. So be bold, be brave, be you, and it will be a successful and wonderful school year. So before we close, please remember to like, follow, share, and subscribe this page. Please share with a fellow new international teacher that you think that this would be useful for. Now in the comments below, I invite you all to place your first year experience to the teachers that have already taught in the US. Can you all share below what was your first year experience like? As I close, I would like to share with you all a final message. This year is just as much about learning as it is about teaching. So please give yourself grace. Everything will happen in time. You are already an excellent teacher. That's why you were chosen here to teach in the US. So don't forget that whenever you feel like this is too much. Thank you all again for joining us here today at Beyond Borders Teaching. Stay tuned next week as we dive into more topics teaching here in the United States. Again, to our international teachers, welcome to the channel, and our new international teachers, welcome to teaching in the United States. I wish you all a successful, wonderful, learning, engaging, prosperous teaching year. Bye.